Those are for the people on the replay. Nobody saw that because nobody else is here right now. Unless they're watching in that way that you can't see them watching, but Uncle Birch here 10 minutes early. So I'm never late, I'm usually early. And I already shared it everywhere, so there's really nothing to do but just sit here and wait. And there is Angel of Destiny. Hello. I'm 10 minutes before my scheduled broadcast time, so you win the prize. Angel of Destiny is the first person here. I don't know what the prize is, but you win it. Subscription goal. Oh yeah, I haven't even set up the subscriptions. AFC Mishashinahu. Hello, how are you? Shortisha, how are you? Invite another host to go live together. Maybe I'll look at that. Wait, who's live right now? Who's live right now? None of them are live right now. What are you tripping on? Amy, how are you? Uncle Birch coming to you live. New Orleans, Miranda Wood, how are you? I'm 10 minutes early for my scheduled broadcast, so I don't know if you saw that or you just got a notification, but you're here first, so you could start a conversation that's going to continue until the other people get here that are looking at the schedule. We're notifying viewers that you're live. Okay, great. The cool part about scheduling it ahead of time is I was able to share it with all the people that I'd share it with ahead of time, so I don't have to be poking at the screen while you're all jumping in. Ix Pashtoan, how are ya? Orums, how are ya? Uncle Bert's coming to you live from New Orleans. We're kind of in between rainstorms. It may piss down rain on me while I'm out of here, but I'm under the umbrella, so hopefully the phone won't get too damn wet. If it happens, we'll see. Alexis, how are you? Junior, how are you? Thank you for liking the live. Yeah, if you're in here, remember, keep liking the live, because we're going to get, we're likely to get some controversial guests here, including the host. And we might get some haters, and statistics have shown that if you like the live more than the haters can hate it, they can't take it down. So do your part. Penny, hello. Junior, hello. Good. I'm glad you're doing good. I'm doing good. It was 92, and then it rained, and it went immediately down to 82. Now it's probably going back up because we're in between our little storms. So excited to catch you live. Yeah, I totally even forgot it was Monday. Until Marta told me what was on TV tonight. I was thinking it was Sunday, but we watched the Sunday stuff. I remember it was Walking Dead and stuff. Controversy and hateration, a Witchtok pastime. You have coined some new terms there. It's been pouring in Massachusetts. It's flooded. Yeah, well, we just had Witches Fest in New York over the weekend. It sounds like they're flooded. 7 inches of rain in an hour. So hopefully everybody got, their flights out of there. You see the sandstorm yet? It's headed your way. I haven't yet, but that's, I'm loving that. I mean, I don't think we're going to get a sandstorm, but that Sahara sand, when it's gotten beefy in the past, like we had a whole year without, or a whole season without hurricanes, and a lot of it is credited to that sand screwing up the whole process. So I'd like to have another year, I'd like to have several more years without hurricanes, but I'll take them 1 year at a time. Yeah, we moved here from California a few years ago, so adjusting to hurricanes was a big adjustment, but we have adjusted. I do have a fuckload of empty bottles in there to fill up with water right now, but yeah, I can save them for next year. It's fine. Crazy, I've never seen anything like that in my past time. Yeah, I never hear of that much rain in Massachusetts. Anywhere near Salem, we know people there, of course. Never been there. Probably will go at some point. Nicole, how are you? Uncle Birch coming to you live from New Orleans. I'm still 5 minutes before my scheduled broadcast time, so you people are the early birds. You are getting the early bird special right now. Kristen, you too. You're getting the early bird special. Most people don't know I'm live right now. Because Uncle Birch is never late. He is usually early, sitting around waiting. But still, it's better than being late. Early bird special, absolutely. And you don't even have to be 65 to get it. Thank you for liking live. We're already up to 1.2 thousand likes. So again, if you're just joining us, you got nothing better to do. Keep poking at that screen. Even when we get the guests, just poke at one of the screens and we'll get lives. And when the haters show up, if we're getting more love than we're getting hate, it tends to offset all of that. Shaman Moon, how are you? That's the second time I've seen you live. Well, yeah, I guess I invited you too, so that might have been how you got the clue, right? Yeah. It's so much more convenient to just schedule a live. Unfortunately, you've got to schedule it like 2 hours in advance. You can't schedule it like an hour in advance. But I can invite all the people that I'm going to invite, share it on Facebook and all that stuff before I go live. So once people get in here, they don't have to see me going like this for like 20 minutes. I've been up since 3 a.m. Peak early bird.
Me too.
Hard of two. I'm doing good, it cooled off. Now it's probably going to get hotter again, but still, it was only 92. And then it rained and went down to 82. Now it's sunny again. At last check, it's supposed to piss down rain during this broadcast, but we'll see. You can't come to New Orleans and live your life by the weather report unless it's a hurricane warning. Those are serious, and they're usually pretty good with those. But the weather report, they don't know shit. You look up and go, honey, it's going to rain. And then it rains in the next couple minutes. Cooled off here in Mississippi today. Oh, yeah. Well, I bet it gets hot there, too. River, how are you? Uncle Bert's coming to you live from New Orleans. If you've never been to New Orleans, well, Hex Fest is coming the 11th to the 13th of August. 2 full days of workshops, rituals. Starts on Friday with a riverboat dinner and ritual where we take this riverboat up and down the Mississippi, classic riverboat with paddles and everything, and have pretty much every food you'd ever want to have in New Orleans except crawfish, because it's not crawfish season. But other than that, they have all of the classics. New Orleans and Halloween, oh, absolutely. Hey, hit me up. That's an excellent time to come to New Orleans. It's pretty cool. Might even, get to wear another layer. And Halloween, oh, they blow Halloween out of the fucking water. Every celebration, New Orleans does it. What?
It won't deactivate my account because it claims my password is incorrect.
Oh, God. Marta's trying to delete her Twitter account, and they're making it impossible. I don't know if anybody ever saw that South Park
They're trying to tell me that my password is wrong.
I don't know if everybody saw that South Park where Stan tried to delete his Facebook.
Human centipede.
Well, no, he got sucked into a Tron-like world inside Facebook and had to do battle with his profile, which was 10 stories tall. It was pretty damn funny. I do not have a shop. Many people want me to have a shop. If I suddenly, win a bunch of money to start a shop, maybe I will. It is a good way to make money here. It seems a better way to make money than where I had my witch store. I gotta tell you that. I got friends that started one less than a year ago, and they're already talking about opening another one. Yep. So, and I have the best friends to give me that advice. However, if I do that again, I'm not going to be in the shop all the time. That was the problem. I didn't want to be locked down to a shop all the time. I want to go in and have employees, a manager running the shit. Hello, corporate hermetists.
Although our friends who have a shop,
are there.
Successful. They're gonna open a new one, and they have employees, but they both still work there a lot.
Yeah, but we can't both do that, and I can't be away all the time. So. Another way. We have other friends that just never did that, never spent all their time in their shop and managed it in a different way. You're at work, should be in and out. Trinity, hello, how are you? Uncle Bert's coming to you live, New Orleans. All right, well, people are, okay, we're about in the broadcast. Yeah, I am working on that idea with the online shop, but I'm going to do that a lot differently than I ever did that before. Last time I went down there, I went to Madame La. It was intense. I don't know that one. So my favorite shops are Hex, Omen, and Sassy Magic. And then Starlings, hard to get in there because they have weird hours, but
They have cool stuff.
one of the more authentic witch stores. No tourist stuff whatsoever. And they're deep in the French Quarter, which really they'd probably do a lot better if they had like some bumper stickers, a coffee mug, that kind of thing for the tourists. But just legit witch shop. Mama Bear says, hello, Uncle. Hey, Marta. How y'all doing?
Hey.
Madame Laurie. Well, I don't know if there's a shop. I mean, there's her house is a tourist attraction.
It's by the Mona Lisa restaurant.
Yeah.
And the Golden Lantern.
Yeah, the one from the torture house from American Horror Story Coven. But I never heard of a Madame Laurie shop, which would be a bad name for a shop.
Yeah,
really. It's not somebody with a good
no
reputation
shop
around
that I
here.
know of. The house is a historical landmark. But.
I mean, do they have a shop called Marie Laveau's here?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's that. Maybe Marie Laveau, which is not really, of course, her shop. But have you been to the House of Hoodoo? It's my favorite hoodoo shop in NOLA.
We haven't been there yet.
We have not been there.
But our friends always.
Always talk about it. I went to go to Castle. Oh, that's it. Okay, yeah, that would make more sense. But there are so many cool shops in New Orleans. We haven't even seen them. We got here a couple months before lockdown happened, so that kind of screwed up a lot of things. And some of the shops aren't even open anymore. Some of the restaurants we liked, aren't even open anymore. It's a whole different world out there. They got a cat that hangs out there sometimes. Every good witch store should have a cat, but I haven't seen a whole lot. Potions has some serious cats. Living on the staircase up to Potions. Hello, Sebastian. Hello, Junior. I think I already said hi to you. Where are we? 4.1 thousand likes. And a bird. Oh, that's cool. I just remember Ancient Ways in Oakland had a cat. I didn't see the cat. I was leaning over to look at a book, and this black cat came out of nowhere and jumped up on my shoulder. And certain things I'd look at, he'd kind of like claw into me. And then other things I'd look at, he'd give me a little headbutt upside my head. And so I bought those things. I bought the things the cat told me to buy, basically. And those were all good things. Zephyr, how are you? If you had to tell a person one place to go when down there, where would it be? Hex. Because Hex made the map. Hex is a great shop, but they also made the map of all the majority of the occult stores in New Orleans. So they help support their entire community. Eric, salam alaikum, how are you? Occult bitch, how the hell are you? Uncle Bert's coming live from New Orleans. Let's see what we got. Decent amount of people here. I should remind, yes, Hex is Christian Day shop, yes. Should remind people that the July Level 1 Witch School is still open. It's open till the end of July. If you go into my profile, hit the link tree, go to classes, it'll take you over there. I'm also working on a warped cunning class. That's an extreme type of herb magic that's extremely old school, the likes of which I do not see taught anywhere to this day. But I remember it, so it's my job to teach it. And then level 3 witch school. Let the word spread. Everybody been chomping at the bit waiting for level 3. September 1st, 2023, level 3 witch school is going to start, and I should start making the ads for it and that kind of stuff, posting them around. You'll be seeing it. Love the trees behind us. I love them too. We got the hackberry and I don't know what the fuck. Random batch of trees. We thin them out a little bit to get a little bit of sun, but like this wall of trees behind us, I have done what you're not supposed to do. And when the hurricanes are raging, I pop my head outside to see what's going on. And this wall of trees has been our fucking savior. And this tree is fucking ancient. It's been through a hell of a lot of hurricanes, but this wall of trees breaks a lot of wind that's coming at our fucking house. So we just try and keep the branches cut away from the house, but this breaks up a lot of fucking wind. I keep forgetting to do level 2. Well, what are you, a stoner? What's the problem? Yes, level 2. I think the last level 2 was a couple months ago. I think another level 2 starts next month or the month. I'll probably just start one on September just to keep track of them all. Crystal Ghost Girl. We have Reverend Zombie House of Voodoo and Marie Laveau's House of Voodoo on St. Peter and Bourbon, or it says other Bourbon. Okay, Zombie House of Voodoo. Haven't been there either. Hurricane energy is crazy. Yes. Katrina is definitely a lingering spirit, but now we have a lingering spirit from Ida, from Laura. There's still people living in FEMA trailers from Laura, I think, and that was like.
That's mostly around St. Charles.
Yeah, not Lake Charles.
Lake Charles.
Yeah. But I know one of those people. He's here on TikTok, LeVar, and he teaches me a lot about local plants and how to grow them and how to take care of them and stuff like that. He's the guy that taught me about that crazy caterpillar we had that ate everything. It was a moth. We raise, now we raise swallowtails and black swallowtails. We were just raising monarchs, but now they've apparently found my roux, and that's one of the things they like.
Giant swallowtails and black swallowtails.
Yeah.
We have the 2 different chrysalises from each one of those.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one on each with the same owner. Okay. I might check that out one of these days. And then there's some shops outside the French Quarter. There's a Botanica near me on St. Charles. They're also on the map. So that's what I'm saying. You go to Hex or Omen. A lot of the other shops carry the map too, but you're definitely going to find it at Hex or Omen. They've made a map to support the entire community. Even though they're so rich, they don't need to support the entire community. They are doing well, but they put everybody on the map. All of the shops, except maybe 1 or 2. If you ever think about coming to visit California, I do, but then I don't. I mean, my daughter's still in California. She ends up getting married or something. I'll have to go. But spent my whole life there. I don't really think I miss it. I think in Santa Cruz always had what they call the Santa Cruz curse. If you left, your life would never be okay and you'd have to come back. But I stayed there long enough to finish my business with Santa Cruz and seem to have broken that curse, knock on wood. So I think we went back one time, but I think we were only in like Grass Valley, California when we went back that one time. I don't even remember where the hell we were, but yeah.
What, when we were in Grass Valley?
That one time we visited Santa Cruz after we moved.
it was for my 43rd birthday.
Okay.
We went to Santa Cruz from Grass Valley.
Yeah. But, there's definitely a lot of places in the world I'd like to see, but I wanted to get the most out of the one place I was in, and I think I know enough of what I ever wanted to see in California. I saw much of the land and the forests and the beaches. Even saw some Trump areas, and then we lived in West Hollywood and then Hollywood, and I was from Long Beach, which was kind of next door. So I think I milked it. I think everything that I needed to see or do in California is done. But
I don't know about you, but I fucking hate being in a red state. I miss that about California.
Definitely miss that part.
We love New Orleans, but being in a red state fucking blows.
I'm really hoping that's going to change in the coming years. The Gen Z, they could change it all, man. If you and Marta could go anywhere, where would you go? I would love to see the castles in Ireland. I think Marta wants to go to Lithuania.
Oh, like live?
Well, you've talked about it. I wouldn't go to Ireland. I would join the IRA and not come back. I'd like to see more islands. You know, even more of Hawaii, but we've got all these islands in the Gulf. I haven't seen any of them. I'd like to go to some of those.
Like what? Like Jamaica and stuff?
Definitely Jamaica would be fun.
Yeah.
There's like the Bahamas is out there too, right?
Bahamas, yeah.
There's even the Keys. I mean, we've been to the fucking Keys.
Aruba.
Yeah, there's all kind of tropical stuff I'd like to see there. How are things in the Birch family? Good. Tipsy Witch. Tipsy to Pot Witch. Oh, the Pot Witch. I get it. It's going good. Going good. Kind of chill here. It was 92, then it got down to 82. I think it's not even back up to 92 yet, and I think more rain's coming. That'd be awesome just to see the nature that would be. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, when I moved from Long Beach, you know, I've been a pagan most of my life, but it was all theoretical. There was no nature. A couple parks where you'd see some trees. That's about it. So, when I moved up to Santa Cruz, I moved immediately into the mountains in the deepest part of the redwoods, and stayed there for months before I ventured out, just to learn the forest. Uncle Birch coming live from New Orleans. So we got a decent amount of people here. If anybody wants to get in the box, got something to talk about, let's talk about it. I'm now following Just a Witch on Threads. Okay, how did I start following them while I'm over here? I mean, if they followed me, it's kind of, okay, whatever. Yeah, I'm on Threads now too. Uncle Birch 4, I think. I don't know. I think that's what it was, Uncle Birch 4. Doc, how are ya? Dolan, yo. Crystals, liking the stuff I have for spiritual experience by a river and the same redwoods in Santa Cruz. That would probably be the San Lorenzo. I bathed many a time in that. And then later I knew people that bathed in it and got staph infections. So I guess I worked out okay. You said we could. Sorry, what? What happened? Did I press something wrong? Well, anyone wants to get in the box? In the box. Calathina's Kitchen, hello. Oh, it's triangle in the box? I didn't see that. Maybe I pressed something wrong. Never felt more spiritually connected than when I was in Humboldt County. Oh, yes. Spent a lot of time in Humboldt County working with Earth First and the free radio movement, and Food Not Bombs, and yeah. I declined it. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. Have fat fingers sometimes. My spouse is from Arcata. Oh, I know a lot of people in Arcata. I mean, that's like one of the biggest towns in Humboldt County, really. So, but yeah, I spent a lot of time in that little square. Town square there. I think I even busked in that town square because I had a lot of Earth First songs. So almost got my ass kicked, but some people liked it. Jammy, how are ya? Fell in love with that area so much. I'm moving there for college. Right on. That's how Marta went to Santa Cruz for college, and that's how we met. Well, she wasn't in college anymore, but you know, she stuck around. She was the editor of the local paper, the copy editor, and she was the editor of Good Times, the other local publication. Thanks for following, Jacqueline. Yeah, follow if you're not following. I go live pretty often. Not always on Mondays, but sometimes I do. And a reminder, Level 1 Witch School is open. It opened July 1st. It'll be open till the end of the month. So whenever you join in July, you won't miss anything. Just get under my profile, hit the link tree, hit the button that says classes. That'll take you over there. I got a lot of new stuff coming up, so you probably want to follow me over there at gumroad.com/witchschool, which is, of course, WITCHSKEWL. I got to spell it sometimes because a lot of times I put these lives on YouTube later, and there I don't have a link tree. Might be a way to put one there. I should look. I hadn't even thought of that. The rest is kismet, yes. Sarah, it's going good. You gonna jump in the box?
You want somebody to jump in the box?
Jump in the box! I mean, I got so many boxes. And then it's cool when they all get lined up. It looks like the Brady Bunch of witches. Well, let's see. Crafty things are going on. I just did a the art of magical warfare, and I'm going to be posting that. Video is going to be going up on Gumroad probably today, if I remember. But I got a lot of new stuff coming out, a lot of new classes. Level 3 is coming up September 1st. Wort Cunning is Wort Cunning's not going to be subscription based. It's going to be several parts of Wort Cunning. And if you're one of the few people that knows what that word means, you're probably old. It's some old shit that people don't teach anymore, which is pretty much my job, is remembering old shit that people don't teach anymore and teaching it. So happy you finally ran with the name. Yes, I am, tossing around a book. There is, I gotta wait for my new computer. Somebody transcribed level 1 Witch School, and I am thinking about turning that into a book. But then the art of magical warfare too. But then there's this other thing. I think '89. I wrote a book under the pen name Phil Free. It was called Quickie Wicca for the Witch on the Move. Kind of forgot about that. But Kelly, the daughter of my witch mother, who now runs the Eye of the Cat in Long Beach, California, found it. And we're talking about publishing it again and distributing it through the Eye of the Cat and on Amazon. So, be telling you about that too.
You should see if Sean and them want to carry it.
That's good too. I originally gave the publishing rights. I mean, they still have to split it with me to the Eye of the Cat, way back in the way back. And it's not the kind of book I would ever want to submit to Warlock Press. So all the other books I will give Christian Dave first refusal on, and if he refuses them, then I'll go to some other publisher or self-publish where I get all the money. But yeah. Anyway, I'll plug that thing too. What was I going to say? Oh, Quickie Wicca for the Witch on the Move might be interesting, because this is like 35 years ago or something. I haven't really thought about the math, but I'm a very, very, very different witch than I was when I wrote that book. I still called myself Wiccan back then, and there are several places in the book I would call myself fluffy. Yeah, I'm not that guy anymore. So you get to see
You have your moments.
Only you see that, baby.
Okay.
Don't tell them, okay? I'm supposed to be scary. You're fucking it up.
Swallowtail.
But I think you get to see the transition. You get to see, how Uncle Birch has grown. But I read it, thought I'd hate it. There were several things in the book that I think are worthy of still being shared with the world. So Quickie Wicca for the Witch on the Move is coming out, and I'll tell you more about it when that happens. If anybody wants to get in the box, get in the box. If you got friends or enemies that should be here, share it. Get more people here. I shared it before I went, so yes. The evaluation of Uncle Birch, yes. Nothing wrong with Fluffy. Well, as long as you don't live in a real world, yeah. I mean, The Wiccan Reed is fluffy, but I never took the Wiccan Reed in the fluffy way. I thought of it very differently. That harm by omission is also causing harm. That not doing harm to one person that's going to harm several people is playing a part in the harms of several people, and it would be a far greater thing to do to harm one person than stop them. Go live now while you're trending. I'm trending? 15? What are you talking about? TikTok? 50? No, I don't know. 15 people's not exactly trending. I'm not fat, I'm fluffy. Oh, like the comedian. Okay, I get it. Jenny Love, how are ya? Get in the box. Get in the box.
You and your boxes.
You and your boxes. Don't give me no community guidelines violation. I didn't say shit. Don't quote me, boy, because I ain't shit. Hello, Jenny. How are ya? The occult bitch. Somebody get in the damn box. Absolutely. Somebody get in the damn box. I mean, I guess somebody tried to get in the box and I accidentally didn't let them in the box. I didn't know that. But, Jenny Love, madam, get in the box. Yeah. Yeah, get in the box, Jenny. What are you doing? You know you're ready to be in the box. You got your face on and your glasses and stuff. And you're ready to go. You've been making videos this morning. Uncle Birch coming to you live from New Orleans, where I teach witchcraft for a living. And check me out on my profile. Hit the little profile, hit the thing that says classes. It'll take you over there to my Gumroad page. And then you're all set. Peruse that. You can get into one of my year-in-a-day courses, like the Level 1 July 2023, which is available till the end of July. Or if you're in a hurry, you can get one of the bundled versions of the older classes and take an entire year's worth of witchcraft in, I don't know, a week, depending on how long you're going to binge. You can probably finish it in a damn week. Years worth of witchcraft. And you could bundle that, or you could take the bundle of that one and the advanced class. Maybe 2 weeks. You know, just stay up really late, binge watching the witchcraft classes, and you'll have done it all. And, you know, maybe it even sticks in your mind better when you don't spend a whole year, you forget stuff. But that's tradition. Tradition. You signed up? Okay, right on. So you should, once you sign up, you should have all of this month's classes. You know, even if you signed up late, they should be in your library. I don't know if you get an email when you sign up after July 1st, but you get emails for next month and all that. But you have a library on Gumroad, and it should all be up there. Carissa, all right. Mary Meats, I'll be seeing there. The Uncle Birch mania is real, though. Yeah? Yeah, fucking occult bitch definitely did some binging back in the day. Library is empty. I can message you later. Check and make sure you signed up for July 2023. That does happen. I have not seen anybody sign up for the wrong class in the last several days, though. But check that out. Message me if not. It should be there. The Worst Witch. I loved that movie. Hey, how are you?
Oh.
What's that?
Do you know?
Buddy?
Yeah.
Where is he?
Right there. This one looks smaller.
Oh.
You see him on the bricks?
Oh, I think that's smaller. I don't think that's Buddy.
Yeah.
At any rate, get over here. There's flies on the table, man. Hop up here. We will not fuck with you. You can have all the flies you can eat. Come on over here, my reptile brother or sister. Sister. I learned how to tell the difference. Anna, how are ya?
Venus.
Venus. We're going to call you Venus. There once was a woman from Venus whose body was shaped like a data. If you got it, you got it. I'm bad at hexing. I don't do it. Well, in order for hexing to work, you need to reach a place of no remorse. I just taught this like 2 days ago in the Magical Art of War. And that's what fucks most people up. There can be blowbacks from spells, but typically it's because you held back. You felt remorse at the last second, or some sort of delay. You gotta throw it. Throw and let go. Throw and let go. And then, if you're one of Uncle Birch's kids, what do we say? What do we say? I'm gonna see. Wait for it. Wait for it in the comments. Third key of magic. Tame Tree Fox, how are you? Waiting for the answer. Spirit is telling me to get busy. Okay, that's still not the answer. I know we got some of my students in here. I know the occult bitch is going to get this. Silver River, how are you? Silver River might have the answer. She's taking my classes too. What do we say with the third key? We got to throw it. Let it go. And we're gonna, that's right, forget about it. Let it go. Let it go. If you're in a place where it's legal, I always recommend a post-ritual bong hit to help facilitate the short-term memory loss. Forget about it. Let it go. Ultimately, forget about it. Set your alarm on your phone for 3 months from then. You throw it. You go, when your alarm goes off, you go back and go, oh yeah, let me go look at my notebook. I totally forgot about that spell. And you open that thing up.
Charger, please?
And 9 times out of 10, if you did it correctly, you're going to find out that you've been living that spell and it snuck up on you and you manifested what you intended to manifest and didn't even notice it. That's optimal. Do you have any tips on harvesting hemlock? Gloves. Even just a little bit of touching hemlock can get you high. I mean, it's like a little bit of poison. I've done it. And I made a wand, a hemlock wand one time, and even after it was dried out, your head was in a weird state after handling that wand, and it's from a little bit of poison. I see a jar I've forgotten about, and then I give it a good old shaky shake. Yeah, that's good too. Coolest thing ever. It's raining, coming your way. All right, we shall see. Corporate hermeticist. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking start inviting people in the box because you guys are, I don't know, man, you're like bashful or something. I know the corporate hermeticist can't come in a million years. So I'm gonna click on her.
Bashful.
A lot of you I don't know. Yeah, you are so bashful. Just admit it.
I'm not bashful. I'm working.
Working. What's that? What kind of work is that? Notebook.
Writing. I've got a book on the go.
Yeah? You're working on the book?
I'm working on the book, slowly but surely.
Mm-hmm. Way cool. I got to have a scribe. That's the only way I can get it done. So that's why I'm going to take that level 1 course that somebody transcribed and see if I can turn that into a book. I'm a talker. I'm not a writer. Hey, Doc, how are you?
Well, I'm still going through the process of correspondence.
Occult bitch, implanting thoughts in the subconscious is a little more advanced for the average TikTok viewer, and I have discussed that with you in messages recently. But I have found the best thing for that is to create a servitor that can do that. Because the thing about servitors is you can imbue a servitor with any power you can conceive of. Like, I can't fly, but one of my first servitors could. I can't, well, maybe I can invade people's subconscious, but my servitor's much better at it. Because I made them invisible and stuff like that. So that's the kind of thing to keep in mind with servitors. You can give them superpowers you can have. If you can conceive of it, you can imbue it into a servitor and they can do it. And why didn't you come
you're
in the
any good
box?
at making a servitor.
Yeah. And why didn't you come in the box, occult bitch? I invited you, man. You don't know how to read the thing. There's a Shaman Moon. I'm going to invite her too.
Shaman.
People that jump in the damn box.
I love Shaman Moon.
Yeah, we go way back.
It's a treat.
We go way back. I think we butted heads about something once. I forgot.
Hello.
Oh, gorgeous.
Hello.
And now everybody's getting in the box. See? It's like an avalanche.
Juniper.
We just had to get Sarah in there, and then boom, 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 boom. Soon all the boxes will be filled.
Oh, that's the wrong Juniper. That's another Juniper.
You know, having all the boxes filled is the best way to go.
Wait, is it the same Juniper? Hold on.
Totally agree with that one. Agree.
Well, I can stick around for a bit, but I do got to run out fairly soon.
Okay. Missouri doesn't have anything cool like Hexfest. I'd love to experience it. We'll start witching.
Come here.
Start witching. Tickets are still available. And you know, when you do a spell like that, and you say to your gods, your spirits, hey, look, I need this money so I can go to this place and connect with all kinds of other witches and learn all kinds of magic, shit comes through. When it's a worthy cause that suits their purpose, they'll move for you. Your ancestors, your spirits want you to know more shit and know more witches, and they want you to come to New Orleans.
They all want you to come to New Orleans.
All want you to come to New Orleans because they're all here. They're all here just walking around down the fucking street, man. You don't even need to go to the crossroads, but if you do, they're there. Hey, Kay, how are you? Oz, how are you?
It's on my list, New Orleans.
Well, it should be. You know, if you just, play your cards right, you could get paid to come here.
I know. I don't even have to play my cards. I just have to agree.
Yeah. But then if you got a book, that's the other thing. It's like, I don't have a book to sell there. I could just keep telling people gumroad.com/witch school over and over again. Some people get it. One time I think I had it on business cards. But, if you've got a product to sling, you can get, your travel and everything paid for and sell a fuckload of books and probably get Warlock Press to pick it up. Unless you're doing the self-published thing.
Well, I have two larger publishing houses that are interested in it, but I have yet to give them any kind of completion date, so I haven't signed a contract with either of them.
Nice.
I'm leaning towards Llewellyn though.
Really?
I'm leaning.
Llewellyn seems to be on the upswing. Like they, used to be the main ones to go to, and then they just went down the fluffy rabbit hole for a long time, and people stopped taking Llewellyn seriously, and then came Wiser and the other one with the Ankh on it. I think Magical Child even started publishing stuff again, but Llewellyn seems to be on their way back up into the respected works again.
Well, like early 2000s, I think they tripped up when they started publishing a lot of the new age bubblegum spirituality stuff, right? That stuff got weird. It got weird. Yeah. A little inappropriate and weird. And nobody was really taking them seriously or anything. But yeah, I think probably in the last 10 years at least, they've gotten a whole roster of new authors that have new ideas. Several of my friends published through them and have had really good experiences with their editing and all of that stuff. Because that's going to be the kicker for mine.
Yeah.
Is I need to be connected with an editor.
Yeah. I got a bunch of friends at Llewellyn these days.
Yeah.
Ian, thanks for all the TikToks and finger hearts and all that stuff. Thank you very much. Yeah, got a few friends at Llewellyn, got a few friends at Wiser. But being the complicated relationship that I have here, I feel it's appropriate to offer Warlock Press the first turn down.
Yeah.
And then if they do, I'll probably go Wiser or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I wouldn't have any problems really going with Warlock Press. The catch is that it's not really in their wheelhouse of the kinds of things they publish, right? They publish a lot of personal interpretations of things. They publish a lot of grimoire-esque things, and this isn't one, right?
Yeah.
If anything, it's a history book.
Yeah, I would think they'd be into that. But they're also smaller and growing. But, just alone, they've got the 4 most successful occult stores in the country, stocking, their books in their stores. And there's been a few times he's just gone on boycotts of Wiser. And I think he's gone on boycotts of Llewellyn. It's like certain authors will like start shit with him, and he'll just like boycott the whole fucking publisher for a while. I remember him having a sit down with Llewellyn, and then I think he
couple months ago he did.
Yeah, and they stopped boycotting them.
But let's be honest, doesn't matter who I publish with, he'll always carry my book.
Absolutely. I'm sure he will. Absolutely.
Moon, I would love to hear about your book.
Moon's got a book.
I do, yeah.
Why do I not know about this? It's never
I just got it into publishing. It'll come out in December. It's a shadow work book, but without the L&L bullshit.
Yep. Excellent. That sounds awesome.
I decided to make one because it's like, well, you know what? Let me use my doctorate for help and then incorporate my spirituality. I also have another book coming out next year. I'm not quite done with it for tarot spreads that are specific to path. So yeah, I wrote a book too.
Shroom's Butler.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. That's what this is.
That'll be fantastic. I'm sure that your views on shadow work and the application of are going to be far superior than 99% of the books that are out there right now. Absolutely it will.
I think that's why I decided to write one, because a lot of the shadow work books right now are just like, they're too like, well, if you just stop being sad. That just seems to be like the fucking thing. It's like, just stop being sad. And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
I read one once a little while ago, and it was put together so unethically. Like, what I always approach shadow work is there's active trauma and passive trauma. And passive trauma you can tackle on your own. It's stuff that you're not going to have a physical reaction to, but active trauma is always something you should seek a professional to help with. And this whole book was dedicated to sitting down with your active trauma and reliving it until you get over it. And it was like, you are trying to send people to hospitals.
Absolutely.
To answer your question, Dr. No, I have oh geez, sorry guys. I have a double PhD in abnormal psychology and criminal psychology. I specialized in trauma and PTSD. I also have been practicing shamanism since I was a kid. I'm a generational shaman. So I decided to write a shadow work book based on that knowledge. Just to answer your question.
Which is big knowledge. Big knowledge.
That's really awesome that you take a clinical outlook on everyday pagan work, on shadow work. I think it's awesome. And what is your history book about?
You got that sound
I focus and study the history of witchcraft and folk practice, its evolution and adaptation over time. So for this book specifically, I look at key points that are cross paths, so elements that are in every path, things like smoke cleansing, for example. There is something on that, where I touch on the indigenous nature of smoke cleansing versus other pagan paths that have utilized smoke cleansing, as well as within the church. So I trace it back so that we have a concrete history of where these are coming from and why they differ.
Hey, Sarah, can I ask you a question?
Of course
I'm going to ask you a question too.
Oh.
I have a question. So you're a historian, right?
Yeah.
I can call you that, right?
Yes.
So I have two brothers who are also historians. They always have that one thing that they love to talk about the most. I would like to know what your one thing is, because there's always one thing. Like, they love history. Everything's history, but there's that one thing.
I am a sucker for the crazies. So the 1920s kind of like reintroduction of common witchcraft ideals with all of those crazy people that were in like Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and you got Aleister Crowley, who's a freaking monster, and you've got like all of these really wild characters. I like talking about the crazy.
Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn in the room.
We're all wild. All of the old men of
love
witchcraft and ceremonial magic. What's that, hon? Okay, I'll get that in a second. I got to ask Sarah this question really quick. Then I got to go get the Amazon package. What I have not seen, and I want to see somebody, a historian, cover, how many cultures jump the broom for marriage? Hopefully you'll come up with that.
Okay.
That's it.
Wow.
I did a whole thing, a series of classes on a cultural similarity. And I just went off on that. There's so many ideas that so many of our various ancestors had, even though they never met each other. It just kind of floated around on the fucking wind. Everybody came up with the same idea, like smoke cleansing. And
there's a few of them for sure.
To the door. I'll be right back.
There's a lot
Yeah, I
of
can
them.
only
Yeah,
think
the
right.
room
I'm
one's pretty
thinking
good.
comparatively that I can think of. I can only think of about 3 or 4 offhand, but I know there's probably more cultures that do.
There's so much more. And that's the interesting part when you start to look at it comparatively with different cultures and especially different faiths and how we all come to this like universal human experience, because that doesn't have a culture, that doesn't have a class, this universal human experience, and how people choose to not only interpret that in their lives but apply it to faith in particular is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, that's my degree, is comparative religion with a special interest in anthropological and historical context of religion.
Yeah,
so,
it's cultural.
I don't stick specifically to like just the esoteric. So I've studied Abrahamic and Eastern. Eastern is primarily where I am. Even though Abrahamic and Eastern are where my special study is, my personal study is esoteric. I'm a lecturer for the Theosophical Debate, and so I lecture on esotericism for the Theosophical Society. As I said, I'm a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, so I'm into that. And I was into Crowley, but I think Crowley is like, when I tell somebody there was one first native person who went and ate all the berries of all the bushes, and they probably dealt with a lot of crap, literally, that they had to crap out as they were getting half poisoned by all the berries that they were eating, right? Right.
Yeah.
Crowley is one of those. Crowley was like the person who did all the stupid stuff that we now know not to do.
I got a Crowley story. Actually,
well, let Moon go first, and then you can tell your Crowley story.
Yeah.
What does esoteric mean? Because I've read that in so many books, and I still have no idea what it means. Like, English is not my first language.
So all religions have two sides to them. All ideas have two sides to them. So you have exoteric exoteric Christianity, and then you have esoteric Christianity. Esoteric Christianity would be similar to like Gnosticism, or my father was a member of a group called the Swedenborgian Fellowship. So he was a Swedenborgianist, which is a form of esoteric Christianity. Then there's you have regular Islam and you have Sufism. So Sufism would be the esoteric side of it.
Esoteric is a smaller group of people who have a more specific knowledge.
Right. They have a hidden knowledge that's not necessarily taught in the regular church or the regular faith. But then there's just general esotericism, right? Because what we find out is, like when you study theosophy, is that a lot of the esotericists of all these different faiths actually learned from other esotericists from other faiths. Like a perfect example would be Maimonides, who was a esoteric Jewish person, right? He actually studied and learned from esoteric Islamists. So he learned, and you would think that would be like the opposite extreme because, Jewish people and Muslim people don't necessarily get along, right? But in the esoteric sides of the faith, the thing is they find more commonality than they do separateness. And that's typical amongst most esotericists. You find more common things than you do separate things.
Okay.
Thank you for explaining it to me, both of you.
I got to tell my Crowley story. And it's Crowley.
Is it the one with the staircase? Because I love that one.
No, it's a student of his goes to him and wants the secret of the Philosopher's Stone, how to turn lead into gold. And so it's 1920s or whenever Crowley lived, right? So he hands him a pencil. He says, "I want you to write me a letter every 2 weeks and include a check for $300." So, a lot of money back then.
Oh, this one.
Of course.
At the end of a year and a day, I'll give you the secret. So guy does this for a year and a day, and Crowley sends him back a letter, says, "Do as I have done." Period. Now, for the kids out there, back in that day, pencils had the part that made the writing was lead.
Right.
It literally turned lead into gold. So I know the kids didn't get that one.
Yeah. Well, he probably faced some karma for taking that money because, then later Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard stole money from him to buy a boat that Hubbard then used to create Scientology. So,
I'm trying to remember the name of the guy that wrote The Secret Teachings of All Ages. Was that
Manly P. Hall. I have a first run signed copy of my Manly P. Hall. That's my prized possession. Possession.
I had a color.
He was Canadian.
It was like this fucking.
She's like, he was Canadian. Smile.
It was this fucking big. But there was in LA in the mountains. There was an entire bookstore. I think it was the Theosophical Research Society.
Philosophical Research Society. Yes.
And all his books. And I only knew that one book, but they had a whole bookstore.
Yep, they have a whole school there. That's I've gone to school. I've taken classes there, and yeah, it's great.
It's like Pasadena, I think, up in the hills. I forget. It's been a long time. I was probably like 15.
Yeah, I had a friend who was coming out of the Theosophical Society. She was 94 something years old. Her and her husband had lived in California for quite some time and were like running in circles that I wish I was young enough or old enough to have run in. But she gave me this book. She handed me a really old copy of what then it wasn't called The Secret Teachings of All Ages when the first run was done. It was called the Encyclopedia of Kabbalistic / Freemasonic / whatever. And then it later got. It later got called. Yeah, it's the subtitle that they give to Secret Teachings of All Ages, but that was actually the real title back on the first runs. And I opened it.
An accurate title.
Yeah, I opened it. When I opened it, there was a signature. Manly P. Hall's signature was inside of it, and I opened it. I closed it. I opened it. I looked at her and I went, "Is this real? Is this real?" She's like, "That's real," and I'm giving it to you. And I went,
I got to put a shout out to the occult bitch because haven't seen her forever. Thanks for coming in the box. And then Sharon's Butler's over here.
Your name is badass. I'm just going to say that right now.
Hey, you all.
Thanks so much.
Sharon's got her hand up in the back. Sarah?
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. I do have a question for you because you're an active member of Hermetic Order. Yeah.
I'm active. Yes, there's not currently a lodge right now in Georgia, so I have to go down to Florida and actually visit chicks. So.
Okay. What do you think is the greatest structural difference between the way that it's practiced today versus the way that from the inception? Because there has been quite a few evolutions since the inception of it. What do you think would be the biggest change?
Wow. I think it's unfortunate, but a lot of the ideas from the original have been manipulated over time by Israel Regardie. Not to the negative per se, but I do think that it's been taken, it's been homogenized away from true Hermeticism. I don't think that Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn is really true Hermeticism. If you want true classical Hermeticism, you kind of have to take your education from the Golden Dawn and kind of move outside, which is kind of what I'm doing now. Since there's no lodge here, I'm kind of moving into more classical Hermeticism now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's. I think that some of the exercises, as far as LBRP and all those types of things, are just basically structural tools to sort of understand larger concepts, but they're not. I don't take them as have tos, as like literals.
Because I've asked this question of nearly everyone who is an active member, and actually that's very similar to a lot of the responses I get. Is it's kind of homogenized itself with a general occult spirituality rather than being.
Well, you have to think about what most of the people were in prior to Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Most of them were Theosophists. They came out of Theosophy to create Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. So
I got
go
a
ahead.
question. I've had my hand up for a while.
Doc has.
What
has.
about My Life of Brian? What about David Griffin? What are your thoughts?
Oh, Lord, don't even get me started. Don't even. That's like homogenized already, Golden Dawn. That's already have been homogenized. And then let's add weird money paying / cult leader kind of situation on top of that. That's kind of my whole thing with David. Don't get me started on David Griffith. And then to have actually been the person to put a full on temple ritual on YouTube, to me, that was just, I mean, really? Come on. Because he was the first one to do it, and I can't believe he did it.
Well, did you hear the thing he did for Trump?
What? Oh, I know he's a Trumpster. But what? What did he do?
Okay, he came up with this idea of making the equivalent of magical lightning rods to absorb all of the energy of all of the witches who were hexing and binding Trump, to bring it to his property, so he could then deal with it, ground it out, whatever. His kid died. His wife almost died. His dog died. I think it's maybe his dog died. And he told these stories.
What a Golden Dawn country song out of that. My dog died.
And he told the story. I heard the story from him. He told the story of what he did to protect Trump and what happened after he did it. And he told it to a reporter. I'm going, oh, you dumbass. All of the witches everywhere throwing everything at Trump, and you're just going to bring that shit to your house. What could go wrong?
Lord.
He used to come to Hollywood all the time to protect the Trump star. He used to come to Hollywood to protect the Trump star.
Oh, so are you in Hollywood?
No, I was at the time, and one time he came down there, and I could have hit him with a rock from our apartment on Hollywood. He was on Hollywood.
One of my other teachers, Stephen Hellier, is in Hollywood. He's a Gnostic, and Stephen Hellier has a kind of a group. I met Stephen as a director of education. He was once director of education for the Theosophical Society, but he's a very prominent Gnostic. Stephen Hellier is, and his church is in his Gnostic church is in Hollywood.
Nice. I think Doc got lost in the mix. He had
Doc had his hand up.
I was just curious of your history of witchcraft. I was wondering, are you also doing a historiography of the word witchcraft in it? I was just curious.
I might. I haven't actually decided whether or not I'm going to do kind of like a glossary of terms in there as well. But it depends. Once I start getting a few more of the chapters really fleshed out, if there are larger concepts for words, then I'll probably do that. Yeah,
because when I was working on my thesis, I looked at how the word voodoo had changed, and it's amazing the cultural. Say it again?
That's a very fascinating word to study.
The cultural implications that Western society takes on it, I thought it was when you look at how terms can change, it really gives more credence to the understanding of how that one culture could have evolved.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's my other hyperfixation is etymology of words. Freaking love it.
God's puppet followed me. Hey, Candy, I think I saw you in there. I don't see you to invite you in here. Maybe you're in live jail or something.
I've got two of mine. There's Nans and Alex.
Nans 2020. Hey, what's up? Alex. I don't see Alex right now. God's puppet.
Alex is the, I can't even say that. Well,
Sharon's walking around. I don't think we know anything about Sharon. What do you practice? You're muted right now. Okay.
Oh, Chiron's butler. That's my spiritual daughter.
Oh wait, I've completely missed it. What?
This is my spiritual daughter. She's in my house.
A shaman, then? No.
She does
not. No, I'm not a shaman.
Okay. What do you practice?
I am a chaotic practitioner, and I'm studying for to be a priestess of Hades. So I'm super left-hand path.
Okay, Candy's on private right now. Left-hand path. What does that mean to you?
Oh, we've had this talk before, Uncle Bert. We got into a debate about a year ago.
Did we?
Yes.
Because I'm old.
Better forgive him. He's old. He's
I remember old stuff. I mean, that's kind of my job, is remembering old stuff. And the left-hand path specifically meant certain things that people now think mean Satanism. And while Satanism is a left-hand path, the main division when I was a kid was the left-hand path believed that if God existed within the self. The right-hand path believed that God does exist and is outside the self. So the right-hand path believed in serving others, and the left-hand path believed in serving the self. It's the Jedi and the Sith. That's where they got that idea. They borrowed all kinds of stuff from the occult. But I've seen the knowledge of those ideas fade over the years. And the other thing that happened is, in most crafts, we tend to believe that the gods are outside and inside, and it takes us all the way back to Hermetics, as above, so below, out, so within. So just back full circle, there was really no division between the left-hand path and the right-hand path, and there definitely isn't anymore. That tends to be what most people believe, is that the gods are outside and inside.
Yeah, I kind of have this yin and yang kind of thing to that too. Yeah, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Buddhism, Taoism is another example.
I got a Chinese.
But Hades is an interesting character, just because Hades goes cross-cultural. You'll find him not only in the Greek and Roman pantheons, but you will also find him in some Christian writings as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very interesting characteristic for Christianity, especially.
Serafina, I got this really cool book and I bought it last year, and I I got it because of the title. And I have to say, it's a really interesting book for somebody who's trying to study the different histories, especially history of of witchcraft in America. And it's by a woman by the name of Elaine Foreman Crane. And the title of it is Witches, Wife Beaters, and a bad word that starts... Yeah.
Yes, I've read it.
What is it?
You've read it? Oh my God. Because I was like, oh my God, what is this about?
It's called Witches, Wife Beaters, and Whores.
Right.
That's what I said. Witches, wife beaters, and whores.
Yes.
Book.
The subtitle is The Common Law and Common Folk of Early America. And it goes into many different things about the culture, including the early witch trials. And yeah, but I got it because of the title, and I was like, I have to read this. This sounds good.
Interesting because it goes into a deep dive about the legal ramifications of women not having their rights, basically.
Their husbands and their rights, right, exactly.
Yeah, their husbands had the rights. They were seen as property. Really goes into detail about what effect that had on the lives of women.
Right.
It's really interesting. Anyway, Moon, go ahead.
I didn't want to speak, but
what
hello,
I
everyone.
wanted to say was, Uncle Birch had asked Chiron about what left hand means, and I would, as her mom, love to hear what it is. Because we've been studying for about 4 years. So
put me on the spot. Stage fright. Okay, so for me, left hand.
Also, Sarah is just a person. I love Sarah.
Listen, I have 2 creators, not including you, that I follow. Okay. Anyways, so for me, left hand path is literally just a word, first and foremost. So I wanted something to call my practice that wasn't white and black magic, because I hate those terms. I focus on what I call it anyways, is the more baneful side of witchcraft, whether it's positive or negative. I focus on the more baneful side, left hand path, the darker arts of the two. Yes.
I like that.
Plus, I'm chaotic, so that's fun.
So what, chaos magic, or you're just chaotic?
Chaos.
Hey, Uncle Bert, how are you?
Well, hey, hello, Eris. Who said that? Geover?
Yeah, you can just call me Geo.
Geo, how are
you? But it's
how are you?
Geoverse.
Where are you from?
Good.
Practice.
I am I'm a Puerto Rican native, Taino shaman, but I practice Buddhism. Shamanism has been in my family for 6 generations, to include my great-grandfather was a gypsy, and he's not allowed in my witch coven in Spain. My grandma said so. So I have many conflicting DNA. Like my DNA argues with itself. So presently, I guess you would call me a Buddhist shaman ordained by the forest.
That's kind of cool.
Modern day, so like I'm
a lot of
keyword student.
Really awesome.
Keyword student because I also have bipolar disorder. So Buddhism and BPD don't really make sense, but one call it conviction, one call it passion. But on TikTok, I have most fun talking to atheists.
Me and Geoverse have been in the same. I know I've been in the same room with you, speaking to atheists.
Yeah, and you know what? I can't remember if I like you or love you. I can never hate
you. Well, usually, it's most people don't know if they love me or hate me. But so the fact that you're on both sides of the fence there, that's great. And I think that we've also been in rooms where we've been talking to Buddhist/Hindu because of my link to Theosophical Society.
Right.
Theosophy tends to put me more on this sort of Eastern idea of a way of thinking. It's not putting me on an Eastern path per se, but it's putting me in this sort of non-dualist Eastern way of thinking, which is very hermeticist of me.
How does non-duality and Eastern thinking coexist?
Exactly. Well, Buddhism is very non-dualistic because you're not trying to go to a separate space where a separate deity that lives in a separate space is. You're sort of expanding upon your enlightenment within the same space that you currently are in.
I humbly disagree.
I would disagree with that as
well.
I
would definitely disagree because if I go into a forest, I'm not calling the ether or the prana by name. I'm accepting its existence. So when I ground myself, I don't.
That's not disagreeing with it. It's just that you're coming into a realization of it.
Of the what exactly?
Of what you're looking to align yourself with. It's not existing in a separate space. It's just you're aligning yourself with it.
So here's where I throw in the eight ball variable, right? 2019, I was diagnosed with psychosis, manic psychosis, Baker Acted in Florida, inpatient 5 separate times through a magistrate signature, but I came out alive. In those days, I would tell you that I was possessed by Pazuzu himself, Northeastern Winds, Babylon, etc., or The Exorcist messed with my head at 5 years old. Who knows? But I actually had a experience with an instance of seeing 7 orbs in my room, green orbs. I have lucid dreamed at will for 2 years now, and I also my DOSE once every 3 months because I must maintain, because my chemical imbalance was chemically induced by other things. I must constantly be at a state of reset to where I fast, I meditate. So when I say Buddhist, it's just how I approach the practice of shamanism. For example, if I yell at someone, right, it can be perceived as an argument, but to a shaman, it's not enabling a behavior and saving someone's life. So in a modern day sense,
have you not seen how the Tibetan students actually argue with each other?
Don't say it. Don't say it. Okay.
It's exactly like what you're saying, man. They're slapping their hands and yelling at each other. That's how they do it.
That's physical violence. Also, some Shaolin monks hold a teacup over their hands as their master pours boiling water on each, and the goal is to remain still and do not move. So because I practice Wing Chun, I do have a physical approach, right? But that's just my Army veteran side. So it's a warrior who has chosen pacifism, but realizes how difficult it can be, which is why I have BPD.
So I don't take, as a non-dualist, I don't take anything. I don't separate a category of things. Here's kind of how I look at it.
But what is duality? What is duality? Let's just break that down.
Okay,
what is
so
duality?
Duality would be like the Abrahamic view, where there is the physical, there's space, time, matter, all existing in one place, and then God existing outside of space, time, and matter. Right? Here's my belief. And in non-dualism, I believe that space, time, and macrocosmically outward into space, microcosmically inward down to the subatomic, however far it's going to end up going. It's infinite. Right. It's infinite inward. It's infinite outward. Here's the thing: if you live in a truly infinite space, every possible thing that you can imagine exists somewhere in that space, because if it's truly infinite, then everything that can be possibly fathomed exists within that infinite space. That's why it's infinite. That's why it has to exist somewhere within that space, because it is truly infinite. So anything that anybody, so that's why in sort of this Unitarian view that I have, where I grew up, Unitarian Universalist, by the way, this Unitarian view that I grew up in, it makes this perennialism makes total sense in an infinite universe, because anything that anybody wants to imagine, sure, okay, that exists. You want to say that God exists? That's fine. But my thing is, it's existing all in the same space. It's not separate from anything. You're not separate from anything. You are reside, and in a way, I'm kind of like a Brahmanist. In the Hindu terminology, is that the Brahmanist believes that we are existing inside of that infinite space, and that infinite space is what they call Brahman. Okay, and that is what people try to create anthropomorphic titles to say is a god or a goddess, or anything for that matter. Well, they could entitle it anything.
Right. Before you think I'm going to disagree, you are right. But as a Buddhist or a Bodhisattva, right, I look to transcend. So what you're speaking of is the past tense of first self-awareness.
You're looking to transcend. As a Bodhisattva, you're looking to transcend the illusion that you're in. But that doesn't. Right. But see, okay. But here's the thing: you're like a dog right now. I'm going to give you I'm not saying this negatively, but you're like a dog who can't see blue. You're like a dog who can't see blue. Okay. You can't see blue because you're stuck in.
Call it. Nobody knows what you're talking about anymore. We're all bored stiff. Let's move on.
Okay. Now I remember. I like you.
Respectfully.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is that
because live where you guys are discussing this stuff. Awesome, fantastic. I will tune in.
Yeah, right.
That's fine.
And Serafina, I want everyone in this room to know that they have the ability at any point to tell me to shut up. I will do it. Okay.
I'm here for it. So.
At any point you want me to shut up, just tell me. Hey, I'll shut up.
Can I use a ball gag?
Oh, what? Please, Doc. I will. Oh my gosh. You, me, and a ball gag? That's my dream.
That just took a turn. Say more things.
Trying to smoke over here, my God.
I'm not uncomfortable at all. I promise. So.
Can I just say, like, Brian has become one of my favorite people now, because I just like listening to you just go off.
Yeah, it's a nice bedtime story.
And the fact that I give you an open invitation to tell me to shut up at any moment. Right. I'm fine
Brian,
with
shut up. Brian, shut up. Yeah. Let's test that theory. Brian, shut up. So my approach to Buddhism is my separation out of my own way. Right? So I get out of my own way to have a lucid experience where I look at myself more critically than anyone else. So you can say that I've adopted Stoicism in the same Equilibrium as Buddhism. I don't practice I don't practice both congruently, but as far as why I make my bed in the morning, why I meditate, it helps me out. That's it. Like, I'm sure everyone here has separate ways that they bite into an apple. Right? But our similarities are what brings our congruence into life.
Okay. Love it. I do have a question for Moon, actually, based on the book that I'm now very excited to read. So I have a theory when it comes to shadow work, especially in occult and witchcraft spaces, that it has evolved and adapted beyond the basic Jungian theory, right? Yeah. And we've kind of applied it in our own way in witchcraft spaces. Now, there are a lot of kind of like purists of Jungian theory who are saying, no, absolutely not. That's not what Carl Jung meant by it, blah, 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 blah. I would like to know your take on it.
My take on shadow work itself?
Well, shadow work and how it's evolved from the Jungian theory of the shadow self.
So something you have to keep in mind when you talk about like therapy, right? So I'm going to give a little bit of history on therapy. I swear to God, I'm going to try not to go off on a tangent because this is my favorite subject. But basically, keep something in mind when you're talking about therapy. Therapy has kind of look different cross-culturally. So like in indigenous culture, you'd go to a medicine keeper and they would help deal with it. In French culture, you had something called the alienist and like things like that. So it predates Jungian, and then Jungian happened, and then you had the bomb of what I call Christianity, and then all therapy turned towards Christianity, especially with the birth of NA and AA and the 12-step program. That all ended up becoming very Christian. So you started with the idea that the best medicine, in indigenous speak, would be like the best medicine is called talk medicine. So that's where we talk about it, we get through it, and we understand. So the development from like the archetype theory, which became very occult because we use signs a lot within the occult. We use like birds, things like that we to create these archetypes of the self in order to fix it. Now it is further developed because we've kind of looked at like what the Christian theories are, like Freudian and then Rogerian and stuff like that, and we kind of like looked at the idea of the humanist and like, I am your best friend, you see through me so that I can help you. So with the, like, for example, the way I do therapy, I don't do Christian therapy. I hate Christian therapy, to be honest. Just like blame God, it's fine. But I don't like Christian therapy. When I was studying for my PhD, I got a lot of flack being a pagan because I refused to do that was called Christian-based therapies, and they're like, you need to do this. This is like the best way it works. And I'm like, no, that's not good. You know, you can have a support structure of like different spirits and stuff and your ancestors to help you move past your shadow, which is why I wrote a book about this, was because your shadow is also controlled by them and going through it with them for a support structure. It seems that therapy, when we were doing archetype therapy or alienist or something like that, with the bomb of Christian therapy was like, it's only you. You're alone in this. You need to fix you. And spiritual therapy is like, you are not alone. You have a group of people. You have a group of spirits. You have a group of ancestors. Gods who are here to help you work through it. And you're not alone. You have a team. So I hope that answers your question.
That's awesome.
That goes into my double major. I did not get a degree when I went to the University of Oklahoma in psychology, but I went on to California Institute of Integral Studies and carried on my psychology minor to get a degree in transpersonal psychology. So and transpersonal.
So, of course, spent quite a deal of time studying psychology until I came to the realization that the majority of everyone's religious beliefs on this panel are grounds for clinical psychosis.
Thank you. Thank you. On paper.
That explains a lot.
You know what, Brian? We're not going to do, Brian.
When I went to become a cop, I took the Mississippi MMI. It's a standard psychological written test given to law enforcement, the MMPI. I had to lie. true or false, I hear things that other people can't hear, see things that other people can't see. I mean, of course, true or false, spirits sometimes tell me to do bad things. Of course, to say no to that, even though they sometimes do tell me to do bad things. So I shifted my focus in psychology to pastoral counseling. And I became a licensed pastoral counselor. And it was a trip because I had to learn all of the world's religions, bits of them. Like if a Catholic comes to me, I have to treat them like a Catholic.
Yep.
I have to know the amount of Hail Marys and Our Fathers to give them for their sins, even though I don't believe in
to cross
sin.
that barrier.
Yes, so pastoral counseling seemed like a different, better route for me to go because I was playing this game. And I know so many witches and so many occultists in psychology. I just wonder, like, how do you deal with that? And do your colleagues give you shit about that? Do they say you're batshit?
Can I ask an honest question?
Yeah, who said
that? Because the P word that you spoke of, how someone says, "Oh, you hear things, sweetheart. I can't enable that behavior. It's disadvantageous to you," or "You sound very rehearsed." No, we talk to each other. I digress. So when you say these things, research, 2 words have come to mind, and from then I'll mute. But ADHD and what I'm going to say is going to be hard for me to be quiet, so I apologize. Asperger's and DID. Asperger's and DID are the closest diagnosis I can give to myself. Because ADHD was me at 5 years old. But when I grew up and I understood the trauma that I thought wasn't trauma was trauma, malpractice like, my parents were illiterate. We were born in Puerto Rico, so they went by everything the doctors said. So if I, at 5 years old, came to you with my parents and they told you he's too hyper, you would have never given me, in the 1990s, Ritalin and Concerta, to include Seroquel at age 12. So I was sedated throughout my entire childhood. So age regression happened, right? I was a teenager up into my 30s. And once I had psychosis, my Kundalini awakening, or the drip, like I'd call it, when that happened, it was an explosion that put me in psychosis. I believed no one. I listened to nothing except my own self. Grandiose, God complex. But after that storm that they tell us not to go through, like you said, just the spirits, the voices that they invalidate, working with P Money or Zuzu, I learned that I didn't need him anymore. He protected me my whole life. He was my ego. He was my tough guy, and I was, the kid gamer that was too introverted. So once I aligned them into myself and accepted that darkness or that shadow, my work was done. My new work is now maintaining that for the rest of my life. So
Money sounds like a rapper. Who's that?
But Respital and Depakote, 2 years clean. I haven't had Depakote or Respital in 2 years. I'm sober. Holistics only. Ginger shots. I got
something to say on that, but shaman next.
Shaman too.
Hi. If anybody's wondering, Kabasi is like a blessing to another shaman. You have to recognize them. So somebody asked about medication and spirituality and like psychiatry. I'll cover it quickly, but I do think medication is important where it's important. I kind of have the ideology of my mom when it comes to ADHD and autism, that occupational therapy, physical therapy, and actual care and like working with the person versus putting them on medication is a better decision. My mom created something here called the Lighthouse, which is where autistic people can go there for resources and actually go to college without ever being on medication. So that's my claim to fame with my mom. And basically my opinion on it is that you should use both. Sometimes science to me is magic. So sometimes in your brain chemicals are off and you must take something to help with the chemical. Science is magic. But at the same time, incorporating holistic with it is important. And I say that as somebody who, I will be completely honest with everybody, I'm microdose every day because I have severe CPTSD. So I microdose every day just to like manage that because I refuse to be on like hardcore med. So I say that saying that like holistic and modern belong together, not separated. Also, I will say this, I hate the MMPI, just to be clear. I will use the Neo. I will use the waste, but my version of the waste, not the fucking ableist version of waste. And then I use clinical interview and clinical viewpoint, which is where I actually go into the fact, so I can give a better diagnosis. And I don't do Christian bullshit. No, I don't. So if you tell me your grandmother is speaking to you and telling you that you need to do these things and they're healthy, I'm going to encourage you to do it. Because that is your spiritual team.
Sorry. What are your thoughts on DID and your ability to, with your expertise, to solve that problem in a case like that?
That's where I believe in consent. I'll answer you, Uncle Birch, I promise. My opinion on DID as a psychic is that I see individual people inside someone's head and they all have different energies. So I very much believe that they're different people or cuts of the spirit, because let's be honest, higher self is one of the most debated conversations, because what is it actually? Like I can look at it in Levian, I can look at it in Rogerian, I can look at it even through Crowley. Crowley talked about it and covered it. The Hermetics covered it. You can see Thothian Magi's talk about it. We don't really know the truth of what the higher self is. So I think DID is where somebody goes through so much trauma that the higher self has to split them in order to comprehend the trauma that they're going with and coping. So if the person gives me consent to help them incorporate it back, I'm looking at this as incorporating the higher self back into its unity. Not in the sense of like, oh, we have to integrate it so you become like a, normal person in society. You also have the right to not do that. There's nothing wrong with that.
So you're not curing this person of DID. So you're not curing someone of DID or autism or psychosis. You're teaching them how to self-master their approach to their condition, not their disease. I like that. I should have met you about 23 years ago.
Which is beautiful.
So, because the path of the shaman is literally help rocks, and DID is essentially just a roadblock.
I don't see
it. But you can live with the roadblock.
Yeah.
Anyway, Uncle Birch, what's your question?
Yeah.
Not a question, something I wanted to throw in the mix. Actually, my students right now that just started the July course are in this portion of their homework, I believe. The people that I refer to as witches all have ADHD and maybe even autism. Every witch has a pattern recognition system beyond the norm that only they can see those patterns that way. With Marta over here, it's language, linguistics.
I don't have ADHD though.
I know, but it's like it's impulsive. It's like you see that mistake and you have to correct it. It's like it's impulsive. You really feel passionate. Some can be like astrology.
Only with that one thing.
Some could be tarot. Some could Sarah might be like history, that kind of thing. Me, my pattern recognition system that's beyond the norm is magic. I am impulsive about magic, and I see patterns that most people don't.
Can I show you some impulsivity? How many interlopers or emulation how much emulation of witchcraft and ancient magic is done in modern day times? By emulation, I don't sense that here. But people who say, I see this, I feel this, but truly they're capitalists. How do you separate that? Because honestly, that's one thing that makes me weary to trust another light worker, if I can be honest. So how do you
trust somebody that calls themselves a light worker? That's right there, red
flag. Yeah, like this new woke culture, like I don't understand it. My mother did Santeria. I made it out alive. So it's like, I mean, I grew up in a culture where chickens were,
you don't really know what woke means, but I woke up along.
That come back by 3, right? When you send, it comes back by 3.
Yeah, but
children are doing things that can.
That one either. That you cannot see the threefold law in nature, and any law in magic should be reflected in nature. We should see that pattern in nature. I don't see the threefold law.
Have you ever heard of Monday?
Someone keeps raising her hand. I'm sorry.
I can't with
Monday.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm very excited because you're talking about something that my entire PhD dissertation was on. Just to be clear, I wrote a book
I
about
could be
this.
a shaman. I don't know.
So yeah. So my belief system, if anybody wants to read it, I'll just link it in my bio. You guys can read it. It's a boring book, but it's essentially my PhD dissertation on how I believe ADHD is hardwired by spirit. I think that people who have ADHD are naturally hardwired to spirituality because they have the ability to hyper-focus on a topic, which is the topic that their higher self wants them to learn and help the world with. You can see it in astrology and several other paths, but also have the ability to multitask and create pattern. Because the thing about having ADHD is you can create patterns that no one else can fucking see. You can do what's called ladder thinking, which honestly, if you hear the term higher thinking, it's literally ladder thinking, which is ADHD. So people who have ADHD, which is again why I was talking about my mom with the Lighthouse Project, is she believed that a person who has ADHD or autism or Asperger's is hardwired to help people, is hardwired to be a healer. So that's why I was like,
oh my God, where can I find this book? I don't even like reading anymore, but damn, you're good. I've never been so impressed in my life like someone that I aspire to be like.
It's kind of boring, but like you can read it.
You don't get offended easily, do you?
I gotta quit.
I love her so much. It does okay. I'm married, but you know, it's on. Love you.
Quit downplaying your book. Now down here on the bottom, who hasn't said hardly anything, the occult bitch. We had the occult bitch on Wittershins, and she spent the majority of the time we were interviewing her about her book, talking shit about her book. Don't put down your own work, man. People will come along and do that for you, man.
Wait a minute. So Sharon was down talking Shaman's book?
No.
Shaman was down talking her own book.
Oh no! I mean,
my pronouns are they, them. Just to be clear. But yeah. Well, I downplay my book because it's part of my own shadow, and I'll be honest.
You don't like to market.
You know, but also the path of shamanism is the path of humility. So I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, I read a book.
You know what's funny?
I'm gonna be like, well,
no
there's
one
this
could
book.
ever
If you want to read it, go ahead.
You know what's a good example? Shit, shut up, Gio. She's talking. Yes, sir.
I'll be honest. I've written, which I haven't talked about publicly. I guess we'll talk about it here. I've written 3 books, and I've written 4 textbooks that are used in psychology.
Nice.
One of the textbooks is literally about spirituality and psychology.
Can I ask you a question, Moon, that may or may not impact my life directly?
Okay.
No.
What is MS in your synopsis? Multiple sclerosis.
Like the disease?
Yep.
That I can't speak on because it's a physical illness that I've never studied.
In a spiritual aspect, I humbly request that if you ever have time, look into it. Mm-hmm. It's imperative I find a cure.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Mm-hmm. What I do understand is it's your immune system is attacking itself.
And I call her my wife. And we have met 4 years ago. We're twin flames who shouldn't be together, but screw all that. But she saved my life through psychosis. I don't know if we have a best friend or a sibling out there, but when someone who's worse off than yourself saves your life, that is the best evidence, not of God, sorry, shaman, but of an esoteric essence that knows what it is.
Wait,
knows
pause.
what it's doing.
Why are you saying sorry to me? I'm wondering.
You don't like God talk or Christian talk, so I don't want to say God. The evidence of God is through our acts of love that no one can see.
Oh, I don't do. I have no choice but to study Christianity. I have no choice.
God doesn't necessarily indicate Christianity. You know, I have no.
It's a survival thing for me that I had to learn Christianity.
That G word is offensive.
Study, and also like just trigger warning, I guess. I was hung in a tree by the Christians and then beaten, so like I had to learn and survive Christianity.
I know shamans in history have 1v1'd a tumor in their time. I've read many books on shamanism in regards of exorcism. I've read books on shamanism in regards of small, but some cases of reversal of invisible illnesses like an autoimmune disease, not only MS, but it's something that isn't spoken about a lot. And because holistics and modern medicine and Eastern medicine is so conflicting and it works within spirituality, right? A medicine man, like you mentioned earlier, as a shaman, I have to realize how to approach it in congruency with the modern day approach that I must also take into account. So we can be a bit egotistical in our remedies, if that makes sense.
I got to ask Gio a question.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm an open book.
So you got a wife that has MS?
No.
Yeah. Like high functioning? How's it? You know, it can go a lot of different ways. I know.
From a scale 0 to 10, 8.9. She can walk. Okay. We went to an MS walk this year, and the wheelchair to walker ratio 30-70, and that can't be anymore next year. Is my goal every year. So, you know.
And like you doing like I Aunt Marta's same thing. Is she doing like the standard medications or anything?
Can I call you Unc?
Yeah. Everybody calls me Unc.
And honey, if you're watching, she usually is. We go to ER for a relapse. Steroids is the only option. No other option other than wait for your face to no longer be stroke-like. Okay? Yeah. It's almost like I could be arrested the next time I go because of the sheer ignorance. An MS specialist was supposed to be in Florida last year in July. What month is it? July. So it's very, very scarce as far as good care. Like I know in New York they're doing stem cell research. Canada for sure. I just want to know, who do I throw my money at? Who do I throw my VA benefits at? Like what do I do? Because so many invisible illnesses exist that, you know, since
I was given permission to go there, Marta did an early stem cell experimental procedure. It was very expensive, but I don't think that fixed it. No. It was, you know, it was very promising. It sounded really great, but you know that there's good days and bad days. There's days
when the ones where they wipe out your entire immune system, you have to stay in the hospital. Yeah, those tend to work.
Those tend to work,
but they're like
wipe out your immune system.
Well, I have a phobia. I have like I don't even know if it's a thing, but I have a phobia of hospitals. I literally have nightmares of people in lab coats. One word: incorrect use of lithium for 3 years. I was mute for 2.5 years because of a schizoaffective vaccination. Only because I said I hear things. My grandma calls me sometimes, and I hear it. And they said, "Oh, he's schizoaffective. We'll take care of him." And that was in a state-funded, no-cost clinic. So we talk about, oh, there's so many resources out there. There's so many free clinics you can go to, free help. Moon, is all free help good help?
No.
Is all free healthcare good healthcare?
I have a better question. Is all paid healthcare good healthcare?
Yeah. No, times 2.
I'd rather have the paid healthcare.
You'd rather have the paid healthcare.
Yeah.
I'm Canadian, so.
I'd rather have my holistic warrior.
Because you have to remember that. I want to say this. You have to remember the human experience has limitations, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of doctors, I will say this very seriously, a lot of doctors have ego problems, and they should have an ego death pretty soon. So they won't admit when they're out of their depth on things. That happens a lot.
I've got an answer to this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, Marta, when Marta first was diagnosed with MS, to get landed an appointment with one of the most renowned doctors in the field in UCLA, was it? USC. And I remember she schooled him. She schooled that fucking doctor, and he altered her treatment based on how she fucking schooled him. And I think the treatment worked better. He was the most renowned person, but as soon as she got it, she started studying.
I love when my patients educate me.
He was smart enough to realize that she knew what she was talking about and altered his treatment based on what she said, rather than being up in his, high doctor ego.
Can I send you my phone number, Uncle Bert?
Absolutely. A lot of the treatments, like I think Marta said, the one where they wipe out your immune system and then put it back seems to be the most effective. That's like 200 grams. I think they
don't do it here. They do it in Russia.
I think
Mexico.
The experimental stem cell treatment, that was like what, 20 gram, somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah. For I don't really know if there was any effect for that. We had a lot of hopes for that too. Yeah. But I am thinking that some of these mRNA vaccines are going to cure a lot of things. I don't know if they're going to cure MS, but it seems to me like Marta got pregnant and MS was gone for the entire pregnancy. It's just fucking gone for the breastfeeding too. It's just gone for that entire purpose. There's got to be some way to mimic portions of pregnancy beyond birth control pills that could be a treatment for MS. But
May I have consent to ask you in regards to what you were just speaking about? And I think just pause, look at me.
Yeah, I'm looking at you.
How can that happen for us?
Yeah, that's the question. There is a lot of money.
We would love to have a family. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, problem is, we're in America.
Sorry.
We are in a land of treatments, not cures. If there's going to be a cure, we're probably going to have to take our spouses to another country to get it.
How? Honestly, how can a disabled veteran do any of that?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. That's not fair. It's not. Okay, I understand reality. I'm going to lie to myself and feel and say that's not fair. But I'm too grown for that statement. But it's not fair.
Well, I feel you, brother. I mean,
crazy.
She was diagnosed
2003.
2003, so we were only together for a couple of years.
No, 1 year.
And okay, a year. But still, see, she's so sharp. She can correct me on all this shit.
Is that her?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Sam Marta in the background.
We must have a conversation.
Hi, Marta.
Hi, Marta.
And I just remember that I didn't know anything about it, and she does all this research. It's so you could just be blind one fucking day. You could just not be able to walk someday, lose your fucking mind. You could be great, and then all of a sudden, boom. It's okay, well, I guess I'm dealing with that for the rest of my life and her life too, until they come up with a fucking cure. But it's
her husband.
It's a scary
husband
fucking
husband, right? Husband. Do you ever feel like you don't show worry or concern to her benefit, and sometimes they feel like we don't care? It's almost like support, but
we're men.
I don't know when to not.
Up. Yeah, I get it. We're men. That's just how we're brought up. It's no matter what the fucking insane thing going on in our lives, I have a fucking poker face, and I'm just dealing with that behind the scenes. And I learned a long time ago, I don't tell Marta about a problem until I solved it. Don't be the bearer of bad news.
Yeah, stress will kill me.
Yes, stress is absolutely for MS. No, you fucking can't.
Yeah, and we live in Florida, so there goes that.
Out.
So, have you heard of SB 1580?
I'm just going to pop in for 2
Sarah.
seconds.
Sorry.
I just realized the time. I wanted to thank you guys all for having such a wonderful conversation with me. I've got to run, but it was lovely talking with all of you.
Go write your book.
Yeah, I'll go write my book. Bye.
I mean, I write poetry. I just can't focus long enough for a book. That's daunting.
Your poetry books sell these days.
I have 88 pages of poetry.
Wow.
If I tape it together with paper clips, I can call it a book. But to complete a book and actually publish it into science, wow. Talk about an epiphany.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good job.
Writing books as somebody who has severe ADHD, oh boy, is it hard shit to do.
I just fell asleep.
Okay? You have to have so much stimulus.
Yeah.
I'm just not a good writer. It's like when I write something, I tend to piss people off.
But you're a good talker. So if you're a good talker, you're a good walker. If you're a good walker, you're a good runner.
I just need a scribe. Just let me talk, and you write down what I say, and we'll make it a book.
You want to know something funny?
Her whole entire arm and brain.
Something funny. Sorry. Actually, I haven't talked about this. I actually dedicated said shadow work book to Uncle Birch because of the fight we had.
Don't think about it.
I'll call it a debate.
I don't even know about this. There's a book dedicated. Is it published yet, or is it not published yet?
It's about to be published in June.
Wait, is it reading?
Let me do one of those review
No,
things.
it's about shadow work, but it's the fact that Uncle Birch actually helped me realize some shadows that I had through a debate on candles.
Oh, yes.
I don't like candle work.
That's how I met Uncle Birch too.
I don't like candle work.
Well, let me write one of those reviews for the back cover, man.
I don't know.
You'd write a forward? Wait, hold
open.
on. Uncle Birch, you would write a forward?
Yeah. I've done that a couple times. Last time I did that, it didn't make it onto the cover. It's like in the back pages of Magic Without Tools, I think. That's a good friend of mine. I did a forward.
Uncle Birch, I've had an epiphany.
Don't lie to me, Uncle Birch. I'll send you a PDF right now.
Epiphany, right? Epiphany. Uncle Birch, couldn't Moon write our autobiography and all we do is just look into the forest and speak and respond to questions or observations, and then an author could then write our book for us and have our name just a little bit smaller. Is that a thing?
I'm not sure I wrap my
called dictation.
Like we talk, you write. And then you had about like his expressions were perplexing but reassuring. He does like pineapple on pizza, you know? But honestly, because we can speak, I can speak for hours. Alan Watts, Terrence McKenna, I can do that for days, right, Unc? You and I can sit under a tree. I see your tree. I'll show you mine. Okay, it's right there. Beautiful. Oh, right there. But we can do that, right, Unc?
I think
so we can have a book written in our own words. Could we not?
Sounds feasible. I mean, ultimately, I need a scribe. I can say the same thing that I was going to type, and I don't piss people off. And I read it, and it's boring. It's like I'm really short and to the point, and no nuances. It's like I wouldn't read my fucking book.
Okay. What do you know about Wu Wei?
Bye, Doc.
It's like nothing.
Yin and yang. Because Brian was saying that I had a sense of non-duality, but the negative ion in every conversation to me is the devil, and God is the positive conversation. If I say the sky is blue, and if someone says it's orange, hello, Satan. He's a negative ion. Would you agree?
Oh, I can't agree with that because negative ions are produced by nature and they cure depression and disease. Positive ions are produced by electronics and cause depression and disease. So I've often said this, like when people say, hey, send me some positive energy, that's absolutely what you don't want to send. You want to send negative energy because that's the energy in nature that is negative is the good energy, and the negative in our nature now that's positive is bad, basically.
I didn't mean it literally. Jeez, thank you for quantifying that for me.
If you hadn't said ions, if you just said negative and positive,
in the book,
you said ions.
In the book called Outwitting the Devil, great book. I can't say the author, Napoleon, but in this book, the devil says this. He says, I am the negative ion to every conversation. I'm the yang to the yin, but they think the yang is beautiful because they only experience the yin, and are scared of the yang. So it's like any argument you have, the contention of a belief, the disbelief of a belief, saying something is impossible when the word possible is inside of that. I believe just the belief in all religions, in a spectrum, is the positive outlook of an argument versus the negative outlook. But both can be right as they spin, as two fish chase each other until they realize they're chasing their own tails.
Both need to exist, yeah.
Like judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree. That wouldn't make sense.
That reminds me of something called the Way of the Tuna. Yes, this is a thing. It's called the Way of the Tuna.
You stop this right now.
Hmm?
I'm just kidding.
But the Way of the Tuna, believing that there's a negative and a positive until you realize that they're the same thing. They're just seeing it in two different lights.
I just realized that you did not call Sharon an occult bitch. There's someone called the occult bitch.
Sharon.
Yeah.
Sharon. Sorry. I thought he called you an occult bitch, but that's your name. I'm sorry.
What Shaman Moon just said earlier brings me back to something she said a long time ago, where I was going to point out that she was talking about this connection of science and magic. Science, magic, medicine all come from the same source, and the source is hermetics. And the symbol of hermetics is the caduceus, with the pole with the wings on it and the two snakes. And each snake is our representative, positive and negative. Both have to exist. But then in witchcraft, we tend to, we see the caduceus and we bind down the action not wanted. We bind down the negative portion of that. But
so that particular pole that Uncle Birch is talking about, for the people in the comments, you can actually see that particular pole with the snakes and the wings, not just with Hermes, but also with Thoth. Yes. The Egyptian god. You can also see it in, I think there's one person in Slavic practice, don't ask me what their name is, but they follow with snakes, and it climbs up the pole. You can also see it in some Celtic practices. And basically, that is the idea of that science is magic. They need to together.
Where did he go? He was fun.
He disappeared. Bye.
He disappeared. I didn't take him. I like him. I think I'm following him now. He was Geo-Witch. Where'd you go?
Geo something.
I'm going to probably get out of here relatively soon too, anyways. But science is magic. Yes, magic is a science. Absolutely.
You see that with alchemy.
Oh, there's Geo. I guess he must have bumped into a button or something. Oh, Geo just wanted the top. That's what it was. He wanted to have the top box. I see what you're doing.
It's what, there's always a mean and a reason behind my rhyme for sure. But I was gonna ask, never mind. But
okay,
I asked earlier, right?
We're getting knocked offline.
Their phone might have died.
Yeah.
No. I got a phone call from my wife, so it's time to clean my house. Okay. You're moving as well.
I want to be up here.
I respect it. Yep. Come on up, occult. Come on up. I'm kidding.
I'm up where I'm at. My cat is named after Charon from Greek mythology, and I'm his butler. That's what.
Okay. I play Smite.
Yes.
So I definitely know who that is. He's a tank damage dealer. Very, very good. S tier. But when I asked earlier, as a shaman, right? I hope I'm a shaman, or my grandfather would be very upset. But when I notice, tarot reading lives, where mediums may be present, or any type of clairvoyancy is monetized, right? I always approach that very, very cautiously. Does that make sense? I don't think that one couldn't profit or garner success from their time invested in research, like Moon, right? Like she wrote books, she's invests time in it.
They, my love.
They?
They.
Yeah, that's my pronouns are they, them.
Apologize for not asking initially. But how do you separate those of us that are experts in our field, not by diploma only, because to be a bodhisattva, you're ordained by the forest, and my diagnosis ordained me, the abyss that I climbed out of, through my spirituality, right? How do I discern light from darkness when they're both screaming light? Is my question, I guess, I'm trying to reach. Because I sometimes bully the bully. If anyone understands what bullying a bully can look like in a spiritual space.
Exactly.
But I can definitely use mentalism to make the wolf remove the wool from its shoulders. Is that good or bad?
Child
Should I
man.
stop?
Zephyr's gonna get one of
Gio,
those.
I am very
not
confused as to what you're asking me. But I'm
How
very
do
confused.
you handle the fakies, the phonies? How do you handle the phonies who are robbing people blind?
Oh, how do I handle people who are doing bullshit?
And
The
robbing
same
people
way
blind.
Uncle Birch does. I just yell at them.
Okay. Okay, so I shouldn't feel guilty for my work. Thank you. I feel no guilt or conviction. I will continue my journey as a Templar spiritual knight. Namaste.
I just exposed him to a lot
But
of
basically, I just call it out. I just fucking be like, you're dumb. Like, I don't know how to explain it. So I learned war shamanism. So my kids call it spicy mommy. Basically, so I just go like, so you're doing this? Like, I'm very, what's aggressive? Like the word aggressive?
Aggressive.
Literal?
Also, hi, Green. I don't know how to say the first word.
So, Uncle Birch, in your time in TikTok, have you maybe stumbled upon an atheist conversation, prove the supernatural discussion? Because I have been told that mystic reports or NDE, near-death experiences, or hallucinations with dementia, all these things are hoopla, and I should seek medicine. What's the word? Professional help.
I've seen all of those things, and what I have to say doesn't cheer anybody up. I think that a truly wise person knows when to say, I don't have a fucking clue. And what happens after death, I don't have a fucking clue. Near-death experiences don't prove it to me. There's all kinds of chemical things going on in the brain upon death that could cause those things to happen. And I think we come up with a whole lot of stories that make ourselves feel better. I hope I see all my animals that have passed. I hope I see my loved ones. That'd be great. But telling myself that just to make myself feel better is not truth. The
So do you
truth
believe
is, I don't fucking know.
So do you believe in a higher dimension? For example, a cardinal visits you in the morning. That's my brother who passed away. Or if when he was alive, he'd tell me, I'm going to grab your feet if I go first. Am I delusional to believe that I sense his presence? And if I do, could that be my evidence of an afterlife and not heaven, or both?
Well, I think those things can be the sense of an afterlife, but just us defining what the afterlife is a problem. It's like I do feel those that have gone before, but I recognize those that have gone before have become pure energy and not physical. So they can fly around, they can come through me, they can be in a cardinal. Every time we see a cardinal, we think it's Hoodoo San Luis. But I recognize there's just a lot of things that we tell ourselves we don't really know, but we do know we are energy, and we can prove that the energy of our body, of our soul, is released from our body upon death, and it flies out into the universe and joins the whole. Scientifically, we can see that happen now. That could mean a lot of the things that we believe, or it could mean nothing. I don't know if the individuality that we have here in this life exists beyond this life. I tend to believe that our higher self is a series of souls, not just one soul.
I feel like it's a heavy tag to put the word Delulu on something that we haven't actually done yet. Like, until you've died and come back from the afterlife, you don't know what's there.
And that's the thing. And is it easier for like televangelists, like I'll say his name outright and very articulately, Kenneth Copeland? Is it because we don't know why it's so feasible to think that someone does? Marketing that does not feel like marketing is the best type of marketing.
Yeah, I don't trust anybody else with that. I don't trust anybody else's perceptions because most things that people say tend to be things that make us feel better. Now, I don't know if there is feel better. It's the unknown.
And
We
even on
just
that,
don't know. We shouldn't feel better. We don't know what's going to happen.
and a lot
And
of
it's okay if
things
we
that
don't.
like we develop in our minds of what it could be is a lot of UPG as well. It's things we've heard, word of mouth.
Absolutely.
UPGs. You can't find it in a book. You can't say, "Oh, go watch this really quick. Go do this really quick," and then you'll know for sure. Like it's
And that is
all.
why, and that is why history is written by the winners, not the losers.
Absolutely. I got to say one thing while I'm thinking about it. Zephyr Green, man, you're going to get reported for being under 13 now. I know.
What?
It happened to him before when he had a full beard. He got reported for being under 13. And I think
I got you.
Now he just lost like 20 years, man.
Yeah,
He
no.
took his face off
Yeah,
the screen.
now if it happened, that would make sense.
Now it
Yeah,
would
no, I
make
got
sense.
you.
He lost
What
20
happens
years.
if I shave my beard?
Don't tell him that he's cute because he ran away. He's not
Look at the
cute.
puppy. Look at the puppy. Look at the puppy.
Nope, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. He ran off on me.
Oh, okay.
Don't enable him.
Bad puppy. Bad puppy.
Bad puppy.
Cute puppy. Cute bad puppy.
Okay, now he's cute.
This is Karan.
Go inside. Nope.
This is
Go
Karan.
inside.
I'm his butler.
Oh.
Uncle Birch, this is off topic, but do you have any of Frederick Xavier's courses?
I watched a couple of them. I haven't contacted him in a while. We had a soft yes to get him on to Widdershins. We just never figured out schedule. But yeah, I kind of haven't talked to him.
I've bought a few. I've bought a few of his courses. I have a few of them.
Excellent.
You know MIT gives free lectures on YouTube?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did know
Well,
that.
Frederick Xavier,
I love
he
that.
gives you a lot of shout outs, and in particular, the Kabbalah Magic series.
Yeah, I did.
He credited you to a lot of insight that he didn't get from Christopher and all these other people. So you were really highlighted in the course.
I consider him a really good friend that I have not yet met. And now we're closer than ever, so we should be able to pull that off. I should hit him up. Tell him, come over to New Orleans. I don't want to go to the
Is that where you're from?
Yeah, I'm in New Orleans.
Well, okay, this is about to freak you out. I served in Fort Polk, Louisiana in 2007 to 09, outside of Alexandria. Every weekend I would go to New Orleans, and that was the precipice of my shamanic journey because I helped the chaplain on the base, and a lot of PTSD, depression, unaliving psychosis was going on, which is why I do so much research on mental health because I have to save my brothers, right? I feel like I met you or someone like you congruently in New Orleans.
Well, I haven't been here a whole lot. Like, I came here in 2019 to teach at Heck Fest. That's August. 2020, January, we're pulling up out front of the house. So New Orleans grabbed a hold of me and sucked me in. And so within a year of coming here for the first time, we've been living here since.
That's outstanding. Well, I've never had like a deja vu moment and been wrong. I'm pretty sure I never met you, but I also saw my wife's face when I was in the shower when I was 12 years old. And now she's my wife 20 years later.
I thought you were pretty familiar right away as soon as you got on here.
Yeah, so it's like you and I have, can I be honest? I feel like you and I have clashed swords in conversation before. Wow. Or actual swords or something.
I do all
like enemies turn to allies. Like enemies turn to allies is what I'm sensing. That can be forward.
My most after in addition to my witch school, the magical warfare series that I teach is a lot of people buy those. So I am a different kind of I'm definitely not a Wiccan. When I first
can we talk about something from Wiccanism, which is totally off topic?
Okay.
But like, we want to talk about this because it's something that a lot of people don't know. is which I'm sure everybody in here does know. The threefold law, when it was created, did not actually have to do with it coming back to you threefold. What he actually meant is I hex you, your ward hits me, it hits back, and then you hit me back, and it's like that. Which is literally what a hexing war is.
A ball and a box.
So I just want to say that. Threefold law is not what people think it is. That's like a new age idea.
The reason why it's a rule like kids shouldn't drink until they're 21, but they'll be okay if they have a beer at 15, right? Kind of, right? It's like the reason why that it's so popularized today. I mean, you can walk into a store, a santeria store, and you can see candles to make him fall in love with you. You can see candles so that he'll never miss a call again. It's almost like because there's such a disturbance in regards of people's intent, and with your intent, one can have such a malicious intent that they'll open a door and not even truly understand what they're doing. So to an adept-minded person, it can have a times 3 force. But if it was like someone that was beyond adept or novice, it would be just to and fro exchange, an equal battleground. But to the uninitiated, it's very dangerous. I myself have never sent out any hex or in my life. I could be wrong.
Hello.
Oh, that? Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I studied Wicca 9 years ago. So it's not very fresh, but that right. And after I switched to left hand, I'm like, oh no.
The threefold law is made up. It's not even a thing, and like it's not even
a precaution.
If you talk to actual initiates of like British traditional Wicca, fuck, I'm stumbling over my words. They don't even talk about it. It's not a thing that they particularly believe in. It's
okay. Give me a cautionary statement on outbound hex.
I get what you're trying to say about it. I
do.
do.
Give me anything that isn't 3, but a cautionary statement that sounds like 5-3. Give me the warning label on attacking someone. What should I know before I do it?
Gio?
Yes?
So if you've read enough shamanic training books, and you grew up that way, then I think there is a clash between modern paganism and the shamanic path. Because the shamanic path says to remove roadblocks to find the good red road, right? So modern witchcraft will say that removing blocks in a violent way, meaning like hexing or cursing, is bad. But traditional shamanism, we were the first ones in that battle. We would be the first ones
I'm
to
an
go.
exorcist. I'm a modern day exorcist through psychoanalysis, mentalism, and psychotherapy.
Push past that. So the idea of a consequence for doing something, there isn't actually a consequence. The consequence is your own guilt, is your own spirit. It's not someone else. It's not going to come back at you. It's you.
There is no cosmic
there's
police
something called
force.
kickback, or
it's going to go out of its way to punish you for doing things.
So karmic dissonance here.
No,
so karmic law, you have to also remember you're a Taino shaman. Some things like that don't matter, like do not physically affect you, because the idea of karma is naturally a Hindu practice.
Okay.
So it's like
if somebody was possessed, right, and I, as a shaman exorcist, right, modern day, my only goal when it comes to consensual practice,
they're the same thing.
I know. That's why I brought that word up, because it may be more digestible for others. So my ability to remove a maleficent force pretty much blocks me, and I swore an oath to never send anything like the main thing I want to alleviate those from. So it could be like more of like a rule for me versus an actual factual thing. So it's a bit subjective, but because I only practice removal of, I can never even fathom invoking something towards someone. Does that make sense?
Uncle Bert, what do you have to say?
What?
A couple things.
That smile right there, it scares me.
With regard to karmic law, the Western version of karma is weak as shit. Karma does not mean what goes around comes around. Karma means that your higher self chose this existence for you based on the lessons that you were supposed to learn in this lifetime. So if you were born blind, if you were born crippled, the bad things that happened to you, the good things that happened to you, all were chosen by your higher self. Americans, Westerners, cannot deal with the personal responsibility of what karma means. What goes around comes around, as I often say, is a small pimple on the large ass that is karma. And we all just use that. What goes around comes around. That is the smallest, minuscule fucking piece of karma. Now, the other thing, I wanted to touch on the threefold law and Zephyr. It is my belief that since Gerald Gardner read the Gospel of Aradia, and that's the first place I see that language. Here's the story. Diana, the witches of Tuscany call upon the goddess Diana to free them from the slavery of the Catholic Church. Yes, they were slaves. They were white. Quit bitching at me. They were slaves, okay? They believed they were slaves. They called on Diana to send her daughter down, Aradia, to free them from the slavery of the church. And upon arriving, she gave what we now call the charge of the goddess, but originally it came from the charge of Aradia, where she said, once in a month, and best it be when the moon is full, you shall assemble in some secret place and worship the queen of queen of all witchery. Great secrets shall be revealed, and you get to do 3 magics and call upon me to help. But in that, she said, when a priest shall have done you harm, you shall do him twice the harm, and do it in the name of me, who am queen of all witchery. It's my belief that that's where Gerald Gardner got his idea for the threefold law, and he flipped it. The original twofold law was a law of vengeance, and it would make sense since it came from Italian witches, and Italians tend to be a little more vengeful than a lot of other people. That's all I had to say. Carry on.
I was just gifted the first edition of the Ways of the Strega.
Ooh.
Is that a Raven Grimassi book? Yeah, it is. It is.
It's one of his last publications. It's funny because it was one of his first publications when he was just known as Raven back in '81. And then he republished those, probably within a decade of his death.
So, Birch, I'm just going to ask, do you consider Raven Grimassi to be a credible source? Because I've had people on here tell me that they absolutely do not like Raven Grimassi, like, at all.
Some of his works resonate with me greatly, but I remember the Books of Ways. And in the Books of Ways, the original gospel, his Gospel of Aradia, he said there's 2 portions of the book. There's the story of Aradia, and then there's the Wanderings, which is basically her disciples and where they traveled around and where they spread her works to. Originally, I recall very clearly that Raven Grimassi said that the story of Aradia was direct translation from his grandmother's Book of Shadows, and the Wanderings portion was his extrapolation of oral lore of the tradition. And then, 20, 30 years later, he's still around and he doesn't know that there's people like me that read his original works. And when he backpedaled on those ideas because all of the occult community was calling him out, I went right to him. I said, you said to me in your original books that the first half was the direct translation from your grandma's Book of Shadows, and the second half was your interpretation of oral lore. Where do you stand now? And he backed up. Where did I ever say that? Where did find me in print where I ever said that? I said, well, you're going to have to come to my house where I've got one of your original publications, the Books of Ways. Do you remember the Books of Ways? That's what he said in the Books of Ways. He had a very hostile relationship from there on out because I knew his shit that he wrote a long time ago and remembered his shit. And the people that were calling him on his shit in the occult communty hadn't even read that shit. So
what are your thoughts on
his work is divinely inspired, the historical context that he tried to give to his work is questionable at best.
What are your thoughts on, because you mentioned NBE recently, And all of my mystic reports that I've studied have been, you know, South America, to include ayahuasca, DMT, any form of psilocybin experience that would equate to an outside of experience, right?
You must be talking
What are your
shamans.
thoughts on like Terence McKenna? Terence McKenna, Alan Watts, like those that teach, pretty much Westerners that teach things like Wu Wei, Buddhism, Taoism. Do you believe that we're doing more harm to the ancient teachings by discrediting one's perception in a different time, or what we don't understand, like you said about death,
I think ancient
could be
teachings tend
just
to
that?
evolve. That's just the evolution of those teachings.
Right.
They get spread, you know, they'll be different 20 years from now. People will tell a very different story, but that's the evolution of the story.
So there isn't any psychedelic congruency to any of these mystic reports of elemental properties, esoteric principles. I don't want to say angels, but you know, things like that.
Psychedelic wise, well, as I've said most of my life, I found the secrets of the universe many times on LSD, but in the morning they were not the secrets of the universe anymore. But then I found those same secrets on psilocybin, and those still existed in the morning. Every piece of wisdom I found on those trips existed beyond that. The LSD was just a fleeting idea. But the real mysteries of the universe, like I haven't done, I did do DMT, a couple of other things.
Crazy half hour, isn't it?
But those revelations that I had still hold up, each one from each trip.
Have you ever spoken to someone?
Similar but not the same. I had very similar like epiphanies just simply on MDMA.
Oof.
I wasn't seeing the secrets of the universe at the same time, like everything was clearer.
Can we objectively say, oh no, no more, never again, please? Unless there's properties that I don't understand. But the reason why I ask is because the VA let me know that there's a approach to medicinal cannabis as a treatment, being that I no longer take Risperdal or Depakote. I extended it to thoughts on psilocybin practices to include mud water, replacing coffee with that, like how Sailor Moon microdoses. I want to learn approaches like that because so far I can't walk into a hospital. So looking for a different building to walk into, a new life to where I can manage a normal life. Because an introvert gamer is getting old real quick. You know what I mean?
There's a whole generation of introvert gamers behind you, man. And
I gained a little bit.
A lot of them getting rich doing it now. But y'all, I just got the 10% battery warning. So,
oh man, well, charge up, man, because I want to talk to you guys for sure.
Absolutely, send me a DM. I'm following you now.
Thank you, sir. Hey, like Gio says, may your next breath be followed by your next breath until the end of time. Namaste.
To you too. Namaste.
See y'all later.
Thanks, y'all, for jumping in. You've been a great panel, and this will be up on YouTube in a couple hours. See y'all.
I love it. Awesome.